Hang on, I'm coming. Just got to set this thing up again. Hold on. It wants to get very finicky all of a sudden, and we don't want that. So we're going to try and help it out. Hang on. These technical issues, they're so much fun, especially when you're all by yourself. All right, hang on. I just have to check the shot really quick. Sorry, this is taking so long, you guys. So, everybody on YouTube, there we go. All right, welcome everyone. This one today is kind of interesting. I've been watching this show, and it's called Three Body Problem, and it's based on a book by a Chinese author, which is actually based on a real mathematical problem that's been around for centuries. And only recently, there's been some solutions to the problem that have been presented that are actually very, very interesting. I find this really, really interesting. So we've got, by the way, the series is really great. If you get a chance to check it out, I highly recommend it. And of course, we're brought to you by Rockstar. We'll put that's not one of our bodies here. So the three body problem is kind of simple. It's been around for centuries, like I said. Originally, it was in Isaac Newton's book, Principia, which was in the late 1600s. That book came out, and he brought the theory to light published all that so that people could read it. And then the actual three body problem was discovered, ironically enough, by a guy named Amerigo Vespucci. And if you live in America, you know where that name came from. So Amerigo was using it when he was in Brazil, late 1400s, trying to figure out where he was in Brazil. And so he had an actual application of it, but he didn't know that it was a three body problem. He didn't call it anything like that. It wasn't until Isaac Newton, 150 years later, actually put it in the book and described what they were trying to do. So what you have is, and Newton's was very, by our terms today, very basic. So you have the sun, and then you have the earth, and you have the moon. And the earth, well, I'll move these guys just a little bit so we have room to work. So the earth moves around the sun, correct? And the moon moves around the earth. The sun, for all intents and purposes, stays fixed. So you were able to calculate how these guys all interact with each other, but it was kind of rough, and there were close estimates and everything, because you do have lunar gravity, you have Earth's gravity, and then you have the pull from the sun. The gravity from the sun is pretty serious. So you can get very, very close. And with Newton, he got very close to figuring out a pattern. And this is kind of where we ended up with today. Other quantum mechanics have done different theories where you have equal gravitational pull between these three. And what will happen is one will get very close and end up with that and or destroying it and destroying each other, and then you're back to a single. Or you will have two work against one. This guy will rotate, and this guy will eventually get flung off, and he goes away, and he's no longer part of this system. So this one will actually balance and be okay. Now, again, on the trunk of the race car, I'm working in 2 dimensions with some 1/2-inch drive sockets. You start putting this in 3 different dimensions, and it starts to get very complex. And thankfully, today we have computers and stuff to help us do these massive, massive calculations that can help us figure out how to get these 3 to all manage, if it's even possible. And the problem is having different gravitational pulls and different masses makes for an interesting problem, something to try and figure out. And there's been a ton of people, especially in the last, I would say, decade, probably 2 decades, that have done some really amazing calculations and tried to find a non-chaotic answer to the problem. And there's been a lot. The probably the most recognized one is the figure 8, where all of these guys travel in a figure 8 pattern, and they remain stable because they have 3 points in that figure 8 pattern where they are all in a line. They're aligned here, they are aligned here, and they are aligned here. And those 3 points of alignment help keep them in balance. So you have that figure 8 where they're constantly traveling, and they'll remain stable to each other. It's non-chaotic, which is kind of interesting. So then there's a whole bunch of other ones, and guys have run, and girls, I should say, doctors and professors and mathematicians, they've all done these incredible calculations and these incredible layouts of trying to get a stable setup for the 3-body problem. And it's very, very difficult. You have, so many factors involved. And going through this and going through the history and being a non-professor myself, but very curious, the one thing that I wanted to, the one thing that I thought about, and I didn't get props for this, let me grab them really quick. The one thing I wanted to throw into the mix and out there to the mathematicians and scientists and doctors and professors is, what if you had 3 black holes? Now what happens? You have, obviously have event horizon on all of these, but what happens with the event horizon if this guy gets too close and this guy's really close? Does he get flung off and sent somewhere else? Or does he get sucked up into this? Or do they all pull to the same one and become a much bigger black hole? Or do they all reach that event horizon and there's no way they can come in any further because they're being pulled by a third body? So that was my proposal, is instead of something like planets or moons, thinking of black holes and how they would interact regarding a 3-body problem. So I thought that was kind of neat. Just thinking about that, and it's kind of interesting to think that the forces involved, especially when you consider a black hole. I mean, if you have, a sun, and a black hole eats a sun incredibly easily, how much force and how much, I mean, how fierce would it be to have 3 black holes in a 3-body problem? What happens at the end of that? And coming up with solutions and different variations of solving that would be pretty intense. So something to throw out in the mix. I know I'm not, I'm not a tenured professor or anything like that. I just thought it would be kind of interesting to throw it out there. If anyone has any answers or has seen anything like this, please, let me know. I'll definitely go check it out. But it was definitely something interesting to try and fall asleep to. So I hope everyone is having an awesome day, and don't forget to show someone that you love them. Give them a kiss on the cheek, give them a kiss on the nose, and hold their hand, give it a squeeze. It's really important for them, but it's more important for you. So thanks, everyone. I will catch you on the next live. Have a great day.